Hey Stash Busters, welcome to Yarn Yak, episode 4. Tonight we are going to talk about gauge and tension.
Whoa.
So anyway, I'm Kimmer.
I'm Carla.
And we are coming to you from our local yarn shop, The Stash, which is in Baldwin, Wisconsin. Tonight we're diving into gauge and tension. What's the difference? And do you really have to swatch everything?
That's right. But first, we'll show you what we have been working on this week.
I'll go first. You go first.
I'll go first. I have been working on a free pattern. It's called the Serene Afghan. And it is made with puzzle.
It is gorgeous.
It's lovely. I love it.
I really like the stitch set.
It has this diamond in it. I don't know if you can see that right there.
Yeah, you can see it.
So it's not uber difficult or anything, but it works up really nice. The pattern showed one straight color through the whole thing, and I instead chose 4 different colors because I thought it would be nice to have it change
it up a little bit.
So I'm into my second skein here, and I think it's coming along nicely.
It's very, it's bright, and it reminds me of berries, and it's cheerful.
Yes, it's cheerful. Very cheerful, especially with winter coming on.
Yeah,
it's going to be a nice blanket. How about you?
It.
What have you been working on?
I have been spending all my hooker time this week on dishcloths. I have just been busting out dishcloths. So what I did is I started with the motif from last month's Motif Monsters.
Yep.
And which is that shells of many thing that we were doing.
Yes.
And I came up with a just a simple dishcloth, kind of an extension of the existing motif. But yeah, so I mean,
it's lovely. I love that.
Here we are. I just keep going. I make it a pile, so we have like some giftable stacks of them for in the store, but also for me to gift some people. I'm using both Premier Home Cotton and the Rainbow Cotton, just because for color choices and whatnot. And honestly, I mean, they're both high quality cottons. There's a little bit better stitch definition in the Rainbow Cotton, but other than that, they're virtually indistinguishable. So, and I really love this pattern here. I'll show it to you in blue.
Yeah, I
just love it. It's fancy, but it's still a farmhouse dishcloth. It's not too thick. Like, it's just right. So, yeah, that's what I've been doing. I've just been trucking along because I've memorized it at this point, so I don't even have to, like, I can put it down, pick it up, whatever. You know what I mean.
love that because the stitch itself would make it nice and scrubby. So
yeah. It's got a little texture to it.
And it has the holes in it to let the air in.
Yeah, and make the soap go choop choop, you know, how we like our soap to go choop choop.
Yeah, absolutely.
Same concept as a poof. But yeah, that's what I've been doing. I've just been making dishcloths, just busting them out. So in fact, I'm making another one right now. But yeah, so if you ever want to know more about what we're working on, if you go to our website at www.shopthestashbusters.com, which is listed in the description of this episode, you can click at the top of the page on the Yarn Yak page, and you can see pictures, pattern links, and links to yarn of the things that we've been working on this week. So anyway, without further ado, this week on Yarn Yak,
gauge and tension. What's the difference and why it matters?
Why it matters? Because it matters.
It does matter.
So let's dig in. What's the difference between tension and gauge? Here's the thing. In my years here, and even before that, those two terms, gauge and tension, are often used interchangeably, but they are not. They're actually, one is actually part of the other. They're two separate things. So we're going to explain that first.
So it starts with yarn weight, which is the subject of next week's Yarn Yak show.
Next week on Yarn Yak.
But for now, yarn weight is the thickness or diameter of the yarn. Example, medium, worsted, 4.
Just, you know, the overall thickness. So, and then tension. Tension is how loose or tight your stitches are. Using, you know, X hook size with X yarn weight produces tension. And so if you are a looser crocheter or a tighter crocheter, that's your tension. When we say are you loose or are you tight, that's what we're talking about, is your tension. Okay?
Yeah. So gauge is the combination of the yarn weight and the hook size and your tension. So all three of those things. Gauge encompasses the combination of the yarn weight, the hook size, and the tension.
So when you are using a worsted medium 4 on X hook size with your tension, whether you are looser or tighter as a crocheter, those three things combined are gauge. Okay? Then swatching. Swatching is a physical test of gauge. Again, your yarn weight, hook size, and tension. Swatching is what gives you a visual representation of that little algebra math problem that those other, those other components are. And so it is definitely something to consider doing.
Swatching is the best tool you have to accurately predict the size and look of your finished piece.
Swatching is when you make a small sample of work using the recommended materials, for example, from your pattern, to check if the finished sample is the correct size, if the materials and the hook size are giving you the desired look for your project. For example, if I did this with a much bigger hook, this piece would be quite a bit larger, the holes would be much bigger, and these shells would be very far apart and very loose, and it would not look remotely the same as it does right now. So this small sample, which is usually 4 by 4 inches, most patterns, most yarn labels have consider a swatch 4 by 4. It's representative of the whole fabric.
Why 4 by 4, you might ask? Smaller swatches don't have enough stitches and rows to accurately predict what the finished size and look of the piece will be. When you see a gauge recommendation in a pattern or on a yarn label, it means using X hook, X yarn weight combination, make X stitches by X rows to achieve a 4 by 4 swatch. Your pattern will tell you how many.
And one of the interesting things about that is if you have a stitch set. So usually yarn labels give you a single crochet direction for a swatch. They'll say, 10 stitches by 23 rows is 4 by 4, for example. But if you're using a pattern that has a stitch set, then your pattern will tell you how many stitch repeats you need to do to get a swatch.
Right.
So keep that in mind. If you are using the recommended materials and your swatch is still bigger or smaller than your gauge recommendation that you need, then it's usually your tension that is making the difference. You need to change your hook size to meet your gauge requirements. So if you are a loose or a tighter crocheter, I'm having a really hard time not saying hooker.
Yeah.
If you're a loose or a tighter crocheter, then that would be the thing that you would change, is your hook size. That's the first thing that you would attack. If you have changed the materials or tool size, you may need to adjust those changes to achieve the correct gauge. For example, using an even smaller hook or something, or a different substitute yarn. So we got a question from Facebook. When do I really have to swatch?
Let's think about that for a second. When do you swatch?
When do you swatch? Do you swatch?
And so when do I really have to swatch? So swatching is most valuable when changing the recommended hook size, fiber content, or fiber weight of a pattern. It allows you to check the viability of your changes before fully committing time and materials.
Now, we have all done this. Swatching prevents loss of time and possible damage to your materials by allowing you to make necessary adjustments to your hook size and yarn weight using just a small amount of fiber.
Exactly.
When you're using expensive or delicate or super clingy materials that like to make up with each other and then never want to be separated again ever because they're soulmates for life.
We're one now.
Like mohair, silk, cashmere. Single ply, even single ply, anything. If it can easily be damaged by frogging, and if you're not sure what frogging is when you have to rip something out. We call it frogging because you rip it. Yeah. So there's a tip from the Craft Yarn Council about swatching, because most people seem to regard swatching as quite the chore. It's like, really, do I have to make this little 4 by 4 thing before I can even start? I just want to start, right? Yeah. We all just want to start. But here's an idea. You could use your swatches to make coasters, or you could throw them in a bin and just use them as motifs for a patchwork blanket, because it's kind of like a memory quilt. How cool would that be? To make a project out of a year's worth of swatches, you know, as like a yearly ritual or something like that, and then to look back on all the fun yarns you've used. It would be kind of cool. So something to look forward to, and make it a little less of a chore if you decide to commit to swatching.
That you're actually making it for something.
Yeah, you're making it for something. It's just it's a long-term project.
Here's the thing. We will never just regurgitate what others say about anything. All of our advice and info is based on experience and research. So we will not tell you to swatch everything, nor tell you you don't have to swatch it at all.
I'm not going to tell you don't have to swatch, but I'm also not going to sit here and go, you must swatch everything. It's better. Be a perfect crocheter. Swatch everything. There's a lot of information out on the internet about swatching as far as that goes, and I think that's why we got that question. There's people that want to know, like, they're used to, you know, the stash being straight shooters. No BS. We tell you how it really is. That's kind of our attack on everything. So we are sorry to say we don't have a hard and fast answer for this. So what we will say is this. When to swatch is a matter of personal preference. It's about your confidence in the pattern that you're using, the materials that you're using, and then most importantly, your problem-solving abilities, okay? And the level of risk you're willing to take, you know, which can change from project to project, you know.
Yarn to yarn.
The project might be vitally important. The yarn may be really expensive or irreplaceable. It may be really special yarn. Who knows? There's lots of reasons why something may become more, why you maybe decide to be really meticulous with a certain project as opposed to other ones. So, in our opinion, swatching is more crucial when the size of the finished item is really important. That is where I will swatch. So, like wearables, and anything like that, where, you know, where what you're making needs to be a certain size. I'll tell you a little story. You guys know Knitting Nancy. Knitting Nancy brought us a example of why gauge matters, why to swatch. She made a child's, like, a little baby sandal. She crocheted a little baby sandal, and it was supposed to be, you know, this big according to the pattern. I can't remember what she used to make it, whether it was the yarn or the hook size or whatever, but she had essentially a Bigfoot Barbie. Could have wore it. It was like this big. Tiny. And we used to keep it on the counter at the old store as an example of why gauge matters. So to say that you don't have to swatch, I'm not going to say that. To say that you always have to swatch, okay, I never swatch basic blankets. For me, I don't do those because I'm confident in my problem-solving abilities, and I'm a pretty good judge of you know, inches for stitches. But I've been crocheting since I was 5. So, you know, some people may also be comfortable with, I'm comfortable with my risk level. That's what I'm trying to say. If I misjudge it, and I can't fix it, then I'm comfortable having to rip it out. But there are many other things that I do swatch. One of them is anything that is clingy. Anything that is not going to frog easily, I swatch that first, because I want to know. I want to make sure that my yarn and hook size are going to play nicely together and produce the desired result. So that's kind of for me. Yeah. About swatching. I don't know. How about you?
Yeah, you know, I feel the same. I mean, when in doubt, swatch. Yeah. You know, and make something from the swatches.
Yeah,
I think that's
a fun idea.
Yeah,
I like that idea.
I think so too, because I think one of the things I've always thought, I always thought, why am I making this? I'm wasting my yarn. You know, so but I really like the idea of making.
Well, that and some things, you know, some materials. Who wants to spend a half an hour swatching when you could be a half hour into it? That's the thing.
I know.
You get so excited and so into a project, you don't want to spend that 20 minutes, half hour, or more swatching when you could just start.
It's like
it feels like such a waste of time.
Yes, it's like having a brand new book that has an intro or a preface.
Yeah.
Do I have to read the preface?
Yes. Does this matter? Do I really have to read it? Can I just skip this part?
And I just
want to get into it.
Yeah, you should read it because it has some good info in it.
It could have good info in it.
So, and that's the way I feel about swatching too, is that, you know, it's probably worth it.
Yeah. So I think the real question is, how do you get out of the mindset that swatching is a chore?
Right.
And the crafter yarn council tip to make something out of the swatches, that actually curled my toes a little bit. I was like, ooh, that could be fun.
Yeah.
You could just make, I mean, if they're all 4x4, it wouldn't be that hard to slap a cluster stitch border around the swatches and whip them together and just make something out of them.
Well, yeah.
But even the coaster idea is a cool idea. Yep. They'd be mismatched, but it's eclectic and cute.
Yep, I like that. And my thought went right to taking those swatches, depending on how many things you make, and making a square and saying this is year 2022. And these are the things that I made.
Talk about a long-term whip that's okay for it to be long-term. Like, no pressure. You just aren't, it's not, you don't have to worry about it until, you know.
And
you make a square and you put it in a bin and move on, and when you have enough, you make another square, and then when you have enough bigger squares, you put them together.
And make an
And what is so cool about that to me, again, is like the memory thing. You know, I can't tell you how many things I've made that I've completely forgotten that I made. Someone will be like, "Can you remember this thing you made me?" And I'll look at it and be like, "Oh my gosh,
I forgot
I even made that. What yarn is that?" I do it all the time.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
I do it all the time.
I've done it myself because I'm not always really good about
taking
pictures. It's like, oh shoot, I should have got a picture of that.
I mean, I had it
the whole time I was making it. I should have made a picture.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So there's, I mean, something to look forward to. So I'm just going to say again to the person who asked the question, because I love her and I feel her pain. Do you really have to swatch everything? I mean, can you answer that question yourself now, do you think? I mean, you should swatch whenever you are in doubt. You should swatch whenever your materials are expensive. You should swatch whenever the size of what you're making is a factor or is really important.
Whenever you're concerned
whenever
that
you
it's
have a concern,
the way you want it to,
when you should swatch,
the way you envision it. Yeah,
that's basically what it comes down to. So, here's the thing: I did not have a WTF moment myself doing the research for this. This happened to be an episode that I was fairly confident in my knowledge base of the subject matter. But if you had a WTF moment while we were doing the show about the content, the answers to the questions or anything like that, post it in the comments. We want to know, like, did we enlighten you, or were you going the whole time? We definitely want to know that. The other thing that is new is Yarn Yak now has a Buy Me a Coffee page. So if you like Yarn Yak, or you like Carla, or you like me, or you don't like us but you don't want us to fall asleep dead on the table while we're doing Yarn Yak, you can always buy us a coffee on there. There's no commitment. It's just a one-time thing. You can do whatever you want. We appreciate any support that anyone's willing to give us, so we can keep this content rolling out. It takes a little time to make a yarn show, so and we like doing it. We want to be able to keep doing it. So yeah, check that out. The link to our Buy Me a Coffee page is also in the description of this week's episode. So anyway, if you were stranded on a deserted island, Carla.
Yes, Kimmer.
If you were just stranded on a deserted island, would you rather? Would you rather frog 2 feet of fingering weight with mohair out without ripping it and you have to finish it? Or would you rather swatch every single project you ever make again, including like a dishcloth?
Oh my gosh. I would so swatch, because I would I would because I would detest trying to work that out.
Not even
oh my gosh.
Getting it apart without ripping it.
This is like fingernails on a chalkboard when you were saying it, because I just...
You're getting a mental image
I just know.
Fingering weight with mohair in it.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that would be all.
It would be terrible. It would be
I
in
think
pieces.
It would be impossible.
Can you imagine having to... Oh my gosh. I would be so upset with myself.
I'd rather swatch every project I ever made
at least I could make something out of my swatches.
I mean, a couple inches maybe of the fingering weight mohair, maybe, but 2 feet,
because,
no way.
Listen,
no
I
way.
can make something out of the swatches. I will never be able to make anything.
Just got a mental image of Carla sitting on a beach, rubbing 2 sticks together to make a fire to burn the 2 feet of mohair before she
that's exactly it.
Before she had to frog it out.
Tinder. Yes, it make good tinder. Yes, absolutely.
You can feed it the little pieces as they break off.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So there's my answer. I will swatch.
You will swatch everything forever.
So,
okay.
My question to you, Kimmer,
okay,
is would you rather have a mullet for the rest of your life or swatch all your projects? That hits a little close to home.
We are talking about my hair.
I know.
My hair.
So I thought
it's the only
perfect.
thing on my entire body I care about. I would rather have someone hack my boobs off than lose my hair. I'm not kidding. Boobs just get in the way, okay? They're smushy to lay on. Have you ever tried to lay on your stomach when you have big boobs? I'm just saying.
I'll choke you off.
I give up many of my body parts before I give up my hair, so that is an easy question for me to answer. I will swatch everything, every day, all day, for the rest of my life before I will have a mullet.
Yes, I knew it. I knew that
was not happening. It's not a good look for me.
I know.
No. I don't think so.
Oh, I can't even stop. I can't even stop because I'm picturing you with a mullet.
Oh my God! Don't do that. You'll have nightmares.
Oh, hilarious.
Oh, Lord. Lord, Lord, Lord. So, if you, if you guys think you might have a good deserted island question for us, you can also post that in the comments or send it to the page. We'd love to hear your if, you know, would you rathers or if you could only or whatever ideas, so that we can spring them on each other, because the surprise is half the fun, you know. We don't know what we're gonna say, and we could
start a collection and then just draw them out. That would be hilarious.
Yeah, if you guys sent us enough deserted island questions, we could just draw one out, and then we both have to answer the question.
Oh, that'd be hilarious.
That would be hilarious.
Yes,
I love that idea.
Yeah.
So yeah, post those questions in the comments and just tag them deserted island questions, so we know it's not a yarn question for real. And, some of those might be hard to explain.
Sure.
Or if you don't want everyone to know your great idea, you can, or where it came from, you can send it to the Facebook page in a private message, no problem, and I will write it down, and maybe we'll get a little collection going and see if we can have some fun with that. Also, there is big Yarn Yak news. This weekend, Carla and I are about to leave for the first Yarn Yak taping trip. This time we are staying in Wisconsin, but we are going to cruise over to the other side of the state. And we're going to visit some yarn shops, and we're also going to a really cool farm fiber mill store.
I'm so excited.
So it's llamas and sheep. They have the llamas and the sheep there. We will get to see them. And then we will get to check out their mill and their process operation. And then we will get to see their yarns and stuff that they make from their animals. We're super excited about that. They were super nice to bring us. So we'll tell you more about that when we get back. Megan Lynn Fry will be working at the stash on Saturday. The store will be open as normal, so come down and say hi to her, hang out with her. She loves to sit in the stitch pen and crochet. If you're not doing nothing, you can come keep her company. And yeah, we'll be gone all weekend, and we're hoping to come back with, we're also going to tape a Halloween episode at a very special location while we're gone. So some exciting things to look forward to on Yarn Yak coming up. And we are pretty stoked, even though 4:30 in the morning on Saturday is too early. I'm just saying.
It's pretty darn early, that's for
darn
just saying.
Sure. We have a lot of stops to make on Saturday, so we have to get on the road right away.
Gotta get over there.
Gotta get over there.
Gotta
eat some miles. I'm not driving. Anybody who's ridden with me before, if you are concerned, I'm not driving. Carla is driving.
I am driving.
Carla is driving. Apparently, state troopers are attracted to me.
Must be the hair.
Yeah, the fact that I don't have a mullet, that's what it is. That's why they pull me over. They want to check it out and just make sure, you know, it's as glorious as it looks from the window driving by. That's what it is. Okay, well, I feel better now.
Absolutely.
So we're going to deny them that pleasure on this trip, and Carla's going to drive because, you know, she doesn't have the kind of hair state troopers.
No, I know. I know
what we're saying right now.
I have no idea. No, I love to drive.
Last time I got out of it with a cat, so never underestimate my powers of
talking.
Deflection. I deflect from the obvious and turn the attention to something else, and somehow that translates into no ticket. But they still like to pull me over, and one of these days they're gonna get me, so I'm not driving.
I'm driving.
Also, I don't drive very good at 4:30 in the morning either. That is not the best time of the day for me. I don't really speak English. or anything like
I'm
that.
not necessarily a morning person, but I love to drive.
Well, good, you're doing it. So anyway, wish us luck. We're super excited. We've never done this before. We're going to go tape ourselves all over the place, and we're going to interview some people and have some fun. And we're super excited to bring you back these visits and this footage from all our various stops and whatnot. So we hope you found tonight's Yarn Yak episode helpful, and I hope we cleared the whole gauge tension swatching questions up for you. Let us know in the comments, though, if you had thoughts or more questions. You can always ask us questions on our Facebook page, too, under the pinned post that says questions with the little jumpy chicks at the top. And ask there, and we try to see those every week and make them an episode if we can. Be sure to also check out our website at www.shopthestashbusters.com. You can follow the Stash on Facebook and Instagram, and you can subscribe to our YouTube channel where we upload Yarn Yak episodes and tutorials, usually on Wednesday mornings. So those are all the places you can see us and find us and all that. You can also always stop down at the Stash in Baldwin if you're handy to the area and visit. We have a nice stitch pen and couches to lounge on. You can work on a project and hang out or take a class or do some shopping, whatever you like. So tune in next week for yarn weights. Yarn weights. We've had a few questions about this, few requests for this show. So what do all the words and the numbers mean? The whole medium worsted 4. I mean, I could go on, and I will next week. We're going to demystify. We like to demystify. We're demystifiers, Carla and I. Demystifiers, yeah. We're going to demystify this whole yarn weight thing for you guys, and just for once and for all, get it explained. So that'll be our episode next week on Yarn Yak. And then we'll see you then. And it was cool to hang out. Thanks. Bye.
Have a good night.
Yarn.